I stare at the two letters on my table like they're rattlesnakes coiled to strike. One envelope is white and pristine, the handwriting elegant and practiced. It comes from St. Louis. The other is brown and worn, stained by years of being passed from hand to hand. It has no return address. October 1885. The first snow of the season has just melted, leaving the ground muddy and raw. I've lived alone on this mountain for 8 years, and in those 8 years, I've received exactly 3 letters. The first told me my mother was dead. The second was an arrest warrant I burned in the stove. Now, on the same day, 2 more arrive together. I reach for the white envelope first. Sometimes the polite deaths are easier to face. The paper inside is thick and expensive. It's from something called the Western Matrimonial Bureau, a marriage brokerage service. A gentleman named Tobias Monroe from St. Louis wishes to send his daughter to become my wife. There's a photograph enclosed, a daguerreotype so old and faded I can barely make out the features. A woman, tall and broad-shouldered, her face set in a grim expression. She doesn't smile. She stares directly into the camera lens like she's challenging whoever looks at her. The letter continues in that cold, businesslike tone. The woman is 24 years old. She stands 6 feet tall. She's healthy and strong. Most tellingly, the letter says she's not suited for civilized society. She needs somewhere more primitive, it says, somewhere rough. I know what that means. They're saying she's ugly. They're saying no one else wants her. I study the photograph again. Her face isn't what they'd call beautiful in those fancy parlors back east. It's severe, angular, carved from something harder than flesh. But there's something in her eyes, even through the blur of the old photograph. A defiance, a refusal to look away. They're selling this woman like she's a draft horse past her prime, and they expect me to buy. I should throw the letter in the fire. I should send word that I'm not interested in their unwanted daughter. But something stops me. Maybe it's the way she stands in that photograph, shoulders back despite whatever cruelty drove her family to ship her west like cargo. Maybe it's because I recognize that look in her eyes. I've seen it in my own reflection. I pick up my pen and write a short reply. Send her to me. I won't harm her. I don't say I'll love her. I don't promise happiness. I only promise I won't add to whatever pain she's already carrying. It's the only honest thing I can offer. I seal the letter and set it aside. Then I reach for the brown envelope. My hands shake as I open it. The paper inside is cheap, the handwriting crude and unsteady, like a child's. But the words hit me harder than any bullet. Mr. Carved, my name is Lily. I am 14 years old. My mother died last month from consumption. Before she passed, she told me my father's name was William Crestwood, and that you were his closest friend. She said you would know what happened to him. Please tell me the truth. I have no one left. My address is listed below. I read it 3 times. Then I slide down the wall until I'm sitting on the floor because my legs won't hold me anymore. William had a daughter. William, who I shot in a muddy trench 20 years ago, who bled out in my arms while Confederate soldiers advanced through the smoke, William had a child. And now that child, an orphan, is asking me to explain how her father died. The room spins. I close my eyes, but that only makes it worse because then I see him. I always see him when I close my eyes. It's 1865. The Battle of Gettysburg is 3 days old and the world has become nothing but blood and screaming. I'm crouched in a trench that used to be a farm irrigation ditch. Now it's filled with bodies and mud and the smell of death. William is next to me. We've been fighting together for 2 years. He's 23 years old, full of ideals about the Union and freedom. He believes in the cause with his whole heart. I stopped believing in anything except survival somewhere around the second battle. The shell hits 20 feet away. The explosion throws me against the trench wall. When the dirt stops falling and I can hear again, I realize William is screaming. He's been hit. The shrapnel tore through his stomach, and he's trying to hold his intestines inside his body. There's too much blood. Way too much. I know immediately that he won't survive this. I crawl to him. I press my hands over his, trying to stop the bleeding, but it's useless. The wound is too severe. He has maybe an hour before blood loss kills him, maybe less. Then I hear the Confederate advance. They're sweeping through the trenches, taking prisoners. And I know what they do to Union prisoners. I've seen the survivors. I've heard the screaming from their camps at night. William knows too. His eyes find mine and he understands what I'm thinking before I say it. "Don't let them take me," he whispers. His lips are already turning blue. "Please, Elijah, don't let them take me alive." "I can't," I tell him. "I can't do it." "You're my brother," William says. His hand grips mine with surprising strength. "You're the best friend I've ever had. If you ever loved me, don't let me die like that." The Confederate voices are getting closer. I can hear them shooting the wounded who can't walk. I have maybe 2 minutes to decide. William's eyes never leave mine. "I love you," he says. "Tell my family I died brave." And then he closes his eyes and turns his head away, offering me a clean shot. I raise my pistol. My hand shakes so badly I can barely aim. I think about all the times we shared rations, how he always gave me the bigger portion. I think about how he sang badly every morning to wake me up. I think about how he laughed, loud and unashamed, even in the middle of war. I pull the trigger. The sound echoes forever. William's body goes still. The Confederate soldiers are 30 feet away. I run, and I don't stop running until I reach Union lines 3 miles away. When they ask me where my unit is, I tell them everyone's dead. They believe me because I'm covered in blood and mud, and I look like a corpse myself. I never told anyone the truth. The Army listed William as killed in action, died honorably. His family never knew that I was the one who ended his life, and I certainly never knew he had a daughter. I open my eyes. I'm still sitting on the floor of my cabin, the letter from Lily trembling in my hands. Somewhere out there, a 14-year-old girl is waiting for me to tell her about her father, how he died, whether he was brave, whether he suffered. How can I tell her the truth? How can I look into the eyes of a child and say, "I killed your father because he begged me to. I put a bullet in his brain because it was kinder than letting him die slowly or letting the enemy torture him"? She'll hate me. She should hate me. I hate myself. But I owe William this. I owe him the truth, even if it destroys me. I pull myself up from the floor and go to my writing desk. I take out paper and pen. My hand still shakes, but I force myself to write. "Lily, come to me in the spring. The winter here is too harsh for travel. When you arrive, I will tell you everything about your father. I promise you the truth, even if it's hard to hear. You deserve to know who he was. The directions to my cabin are below. I seal the letter before I can change my mind. Tomorrow, I'll ride down to the settlement and post both letters. The woman from St. Louis will arrive first, probably within a month. Lily will come in the spring after the snow melts. 2 letters, 1 woman I've never met, 1 child I owe a debt I can never repay. I walk to the window and look out at the Teton Peaks, dark against the sunset. For 8 years, I've hidden up here, trying to become invisible, trying to disappear into the mountains until even I forget who I used to be. But the past doesn't let go that easily. It finds you. It sends letters. It demands answers. I rest my forehead against the cold glass. The winter is coming. And this year, for the first time since I came to this mountain, I won't be alone. I'm not sure if that's salvation or damnation. The following morning, I saddle my horse and ride down to Jackson Crossing, the nearest settlement. It takes 3 hours through terrain that would kill an inexperienced rider. The path is narrow, carved into the side of cliffs, with drops that go down hundreds of feet. But I know every stone, every turn. This mountain is the only home I've known for 8 years. The settlement is barely worth the name. 24 buildings clustered around a muddy crossroads, a general store, a saloon, a post office that doubles as a telegraph station. The people here leave me alone because I leave them alone. They call me the mountain ghost when they think I can't hear. They tell stories about me to scare their children. Most of the stories are wrong, but some are close enough to the truth that I don't correct them. I post the letters and buy supplies: flour, coffee, salt, ammunition. I'm loading the saddlebags when someone calls my name. Carved. Hold on a minute. I turn. It's Marshal Clayton, the federal officer who stops through twice a year. He's a decent man, fair-minded and honest, which makes him a rarity in this territory. He's also persistent, which makes him dangerous to someone like me. "Marshal," I say. I keep my voice neutral. "Been meaning to talk to you," he says. He's chewing tobacco and he spits into the dirt. "There's some men been asking about you. Came through last week. Professional types. Said they were looking for a property up near the Teton Range." "I don't own property," I tell him. "I'm a squatter. I have no legal claim to that land." "That's what I told them," Clayton says, but they seemed mighty interested anyway. One of them had a list of names. He was asking if anyone knew an Elijah Carved. My chest tightens, but I keep my face blank. "What did you tell them?" "Told them I'd never heard of you," Clayton says. He looks at me with those sharp lawman eyes. "I figured if you wanted to be found, you wouldn't be living on top of a mountain." "I appreciate that, Marshal." He nods. "But Carved, I need to know. You running from something I should know about?" "Everyone's running from something," I say. "That's not an answer." I meet his eyes. "I haven't broken any laws in your territory, Marshal. Whatever I did or didn't do before I came here is my business." He studies me for a long moment. Then he spits again and shakes his head. "All right. But those men, they're still in the area. Just thought you should know." I thank him and finish loading my supplies. As I ride out of town, I can feel eyes on my back, the strangers asking questions, the marshal who knows I'm hiding something, the whole fragile piece of my isolation starting to crack. I push the horse faster, eager to get back to the cabin, back to the silence and solitude. But even as I ride, I know the silence is already broken. The letters are sent, the woman is coming, the child is coming, and somewhere out there strangers are asking questions about Elijah Carved. The mountain used to be my fortress. Now it feels like a trap. 3 weeks later, I'm chopping wood when Isaiah runs up the path. Isaiah is the boy I found 3 winters ago, half frozen and abandoned by whoever his people were. He's Shoshone, 12 years old now, and he doesn't talk much. But his eyes are always watching, always thinking. "She's coming," he signs to me. I've taught him enough hand signals to communicate. The wagon, down the valley road. I set down the axe and wipe my hands on my pants. So, the woman from St. Louis has arrived. I haven't told Isaiah about the letters, but he knows something is changing. He's been watching me more carefully than usual, like he's afraid I'm going to send him away. 3 years we've lived together in this cabin. I found him nearly dead from exposure and pneumonia. I nursed him back to health, taught him to hunt and trap. He's learned my silence, learned to give me space when the nightmares get bad. We have an understanding, him and me. Will she send me away? He signs. No, I tell him, never. But I need you to help me not make things worse, understand? He nods. We walk together to the front of the cabin to wait. The wagon appears around the bend 20 minutes later. The driver is old Jebediah, who runs the stage route. He stops the wagon 50 feet from my cabin and doesn't get down. Smart man. He knows I don't like strangers getting too close. "Your mail-order bride," he calls out. He jerks his thumb toward the back of the wagon. "Good luck with this one." Then he's gone, whipping the horses around and heading back down the mountain like he can't leave fast enough. A woman climbs down from the wagon bed. She's wearing a gray wool dress that's too thin for this climate. Her hair is dark and pinned up severely. She's carrying a single wooden trunk that looks like it weighs more than she does. And she's tall. Nearly as tall as me, maybe 6 feet. Broad-shouldered, strong-looking. Her face is all angles, sharp cheekbones, and a jaw that looks like it could take a punch. She's not pretty by any conventional measure, but there's something striking about her. Something that makes you look twice. She sets down the trunk and straightens up. For a moment we just look at each other across that 50 feet of mountain dirt. Then Isaiah breaks the silence. He runs forward before I can stop him. "I'm Isaiah," he says in his halting English. He's been practicing. The man is inside. He's not bad, just not good at talking. The woman blinks, surprised. She looks down at Isaiah, then back at me. You have a child? He lives with me, I say. I step forward slowly, like approaching a spooked horse. My name is Elijah Carved. That cabin behind me is home. You'll have the room on the right. Isaiah has the room on the left. I sleep in the loft. The only rule is you don't go into the loft unless I give permission. The woman tilts her head, studying me. She has brown eyes, dark and direct. She doesn't look away when I meet her gaze. My name is Rose Ashford, she says, not Monroe. I changed it. I can cook, sew, and I can read. My father thought reading was a waste of time for a woman, but I think he was wrong. You can read? I didn't mean to sound so surprised, but educated women don't usually end up as mail-order brides on remote mountains. I read everything I could find, she says. Engineering manuals, geography texts, basic medicine. I figured knowledge couldn't hurt. Isaiah is looking between us like he's watching a chess game. He signs to me. She's not afraid. He's right. Most people who come up here show fear in their eyes, even if they try to hide it. But Rose Ashford stands there with her trunk at her feet and her chin up, and there's no fear in her at all, just a kind of grim determination. I'll show you the cabin, I say. We walk inside. It's not much. One large room with a stone fireplace, a cooking area, and a rough-hewn table. 2 small bedrooms built into the sides, a ladder up to the loft where I sleep. Everything is clean and spare. I don't keep unnecessary things. Rose sets her trunk down in the bedroom I indicated. She looks around, taking in the simplicity, the lack of decoration. No curtains, no paintings, nothing soft. It's very, she pauses, practical. I don't need pretty things, I tell her. Neither do I, she says. Then she turns to face me fully. Mr. Carved, I need to know something. Why did you agree to this arrangement? Men who live alone on mountains usually prefer it that way. I consider lying. Then I decide she deserves better than that. Because I needed to save someone, I tell her. Even if it's just from a family that doesn't want them. She's quiet for a long moment. Then she nods slowly like I've confirmed something she suspected. My family didn't send me here to find a husband, she says. They sent me here to disappear. They hoped the wilderness would kill me, or that you would. I won't, I say. I know, she says. You don't have the eyes of a cruel man. You have the eyes of someone who's already seen too much cruelty to add more. That evening, we eat dinner together, the 3 of us. Isaiah made a stew from rabbit and vegetables. It's simple, but good. We eat in silence for a while. Then Rose speaks. How old are you, Isaiah? 12, he says. How old are you? 24, Rose says. Too old to be making foolish decisions like this. What foolish decision? Isaiah asks. Rose looks at me across the table, marrying a man I've never met. You don't have to marry me, I tell her. You can stay through the winter, learn to survive up here. In the spring, if you want to leave, I'll pay for your passage. And if I want to stay, I stop eating. Then we'll discuss it when the time comes. The silence stretches out. Isaiah looks between us, trying to understand the adult complications. Finally, Rose speaks again. Can I ask you something personal, Mr. Carved? You can ask. Can't promise I'll answer. Why do you live up here, alone, except for Isaiah, so far from everything? Because down there, I say, gesturing vaguely toward the valley, toward civilization, people ask questions. Up here, the mountain doesn't care who I used to be. She nods like she understands. My father is very powerful, she says quietly. He owns railroads. He has judges and politicians in his pocket. When I left St. Louis, he made sure everyone knew I was an embarrassment to the family, unsuitable for society. But the truth is, he sent me away because I know things about him. Dangerous things. What kind of things? The kind that could send him to prison, she says, if anyone believed me. Which they wouldn't. I'm just the ugly daughter. Who listens to ugly daughters? I look at her face in the firelight. The severe lines, the sharp angles. You're not ugly, I say. She laughs, but there's no humor in it. You don't have to lie to me, Mr. Carved. I know what I am. No, I say. I lean forward. You don't. You know what they told you that you are. There's a difference. Rose's eyes widen slightly. For the first time since she arrived, her composure cracks. She looks away, and I can see her throat working like she's fighting tears. Isaiah signs to me. She's hurt. Like you. I know, I sign back. That's why she's here. That night, I climb up to my loft to sleep. I can hear Isaiah snoring softly in his room. The cabin is dark, except for the dying embers in the fireplace. Then I hear a sound from below, a floorboard creaking. I go still, listening. Footsteps, quiet, hesitant. Coming toward the ladder, I slide my hand toward the pistol I keep next to my bedroll. Then I hear my name, barely a whisper. Mr. Carved? It's Rose. I move to the edge of the loft and look down. She's standing at the bottom of the ladder in her nightgown, her hair loose around her shoulders. What's wrong? I ask quietly, not wanting to wake Isaiah. I heard you, she says. You were shouting in your sleep. I wanted to make sure you were all right. I realize I'm sweating. My heart is racing. I must have had the nightmare again. The one where I pull the trigger and William's blood sprays across the trench wall. I'm fine, I tell her. Go back to bed. She doesn't move. What's his name? What? The person you see when you close your eyes, she says. What's his name? I should tell her to leave. I should maintain the wall I've built between myself and the world. But something about the way she's standing there, vulnerable and honest in the dark, breaks through my defenses. William, I say. His name was William Crestwood. Was? He died in the war, 20 years ago. Rose climbs up the first few rungs of the ladder so she can see me better. Did you kill him? The question is so direct, so unflinching, that I almost laugh. Yes, I say, I did. Why? Because he asked me to. Because dying quickly by my hand was better than dying slowly from his wounds. Because the enemy was coming, and they would have made his death last hours instead of seconds. Rose is quiet. Then she says, That's not murder. That's mercy. The law might disagree. Then the law is wrong, she says firmly. And so is whatever voice in your head tells you you're a monster for saving your friend from suffering. I stare at her. In 8 years, no one has ever said anything like that to me. No one has ever suggested that what I did might have been right. How did you know? I ask. How did you know I think I'm a monster? Because I see the same thing in the mirror, she says. My father made sure I knew I was worthless, unlovable, a mistake. And for years I believed him. But coming here, seeing this place, meeting you and Isaiah, I'm starting to wonder if maybe he was lying. He was, I tell her. Then maybe you're lying to yourself too, she says, about what you are. She climbs back down the ladder and disappears into her room. I lie back down, but I don't sleep for a long time. I keep thinking about what she said, about mercy versus murder, about the lies we tell ourselves. Maybe she's right. Maybe I'm not the monster I've spent 8 years believing I am. Or maybe she's wrong, and I've just been alone so long I've forgotten how to see myself clearly. Either way, something has shifted. The careful isolation I've built is cracking, and I'm not sure if I want to repair it or let it fall apart completely. The next morning, everything changes. I'm outside splitting logs when a rider appears on the path. He's alone, which is unusual. Most people who come up here travel in groups for safety. He's tall, red-haired, with a scar cutting across his cheek. He sits his horse like a man who's comfortable with violence. He stops 20 feet from me and doesn't dismount. Smart. He can see the rifle leaning against the woodpile within my reach. Elijah, he says. His voice is rough, like gravel, scraping metal. Been a long time, little brother. The axe slips from my hands and thuds into the dirt. I know this man. I haven't seen him in 23 years, but I'd know him anywhere. The red hair, the scar, the way he smiles with his mouth but not his eyes. Cyrus Vane, my half-brother. Isaiah comes running out of the cabin. He sees the stranger and immediately moves to stand between me and the rider. His hand goes to the knife on his belt. Rose appears in the doorway. She takes one look at the scene and understands instantly that something is wrong. She doesn't come closer, but she doesn't retreat either. She just watches. Cyrus looks at them both and laughs. Got yourself a family, I see. That's sweet. Real domestic? What do you want, Vane? My voice comes out steady, even though my heart is hammering. Just came to visit my baby brother, he says. Heard you were living up here. Thought I'd come and see how you're doing. He looks around at the cabin, the woodpile, the mountain peaks. Nice place, isolated, perfect for a man who's hiding. I'm not hiding. No? Cyrus leans forward in his saddle. Then why are you using our father's name? Carved. That was his name. Not yours. You took it after he died. But me, I got stuck with Vane. My mother's name. The servant woman your mother wouldn't let in the house. I was 10 years old, I say. I didn't make those decisions. No, but you benefited from them, didn't you? Cyrus's smile disappears. You got the house, the education, the commission in the army. I got nothing. And when father died, you inherited everything. I didn't even get to attend his funeral. I tried to find you, I say. After he died, I looked for you. Not hard enough, Cyrus says. His hand moves to rest on the pistol at his hip. But that's all right. I found my own way in the world, made my own fortune. And now, funny thing, I'm working for someone who's very interested in this land you're squatting on. Rose steps forward. She's still in the doorway, but her voice carries. Who are you working for? Cyrus turns his attention to her. His eyes travel up and down her height, her broad shoulders, her plain face. Well, well. And who might you be? Rose Ashford, she says. Ashford, Cyrus repeats. But you used to be a Monroe, didn't you? Daughter of Tobias Monroe, the railroad magnate. Rose goes very still. How do you know my father? Because he hired me, Cyrus says. He wants this land. He wants to run a rail line through this valley. And he wants you back home, or at least out of the way. Said you stole something from him. Something valuable. I didn't steal anything, Rose says, but her voice wavers slightly. Cyrus shrugs. Don't matter to me what you did or didn't do. Point is, you're both in my way, and I always clear obstacles. He turns his horse to leave, then pauses. Oh, one more thing, Elijah. I heard there's a girl looking for you. Young thing, maybe 14. Says her name is Lily Crestwood. You know anything about that? My blood turns to ice. How do you know about Lily? I know lots of things, Cyrus says. I know she's asking questions about her father, about how he died, about who his friends were. Be a shame if she learned the truth from the wrong person, wouldn't it? You stay away from her, I say. My hand moves toward the rifle. Or what? Cyrus laughs. You going to shoot me, brother? Add me to your list of kills? He kicks his horse into motion. I'll be back in 2 days. That gives you time to think about your options. You can leave peacefully, or you can stay and see what happens. Your choice. He rides off down the mountain path, disappearing into the trees. Isaiah is the first to speak. He signs urgently. Bad man. Very bad. Yes, I sign back. Very bad. Rose walks over to me. Her face is pale, but her voice is steady. That was your brother? Half-brother, I correct. Same father, different mothers. My father had an affair with a Shoshone servant woman. She got pregnant. My mother refused to acknowledge Cyrus existed. He grew up in the servants' quarters, never allowed in the main house. When my father died, I tried to include him in the inheritance, but he'd already disappeared. And now he works for my father, Rose says. She looks toward the path where Cyrus vanished. This isn't a coincidence, is it? My father sent me here knowing this would happen. I think your father sent you here hoping the wilderness would kill you, I say. But when that didn't happen fast enough, he sent Cyrus to finish the job. Rose closes her eyes. She sways slightly, and I catch her elbow to steady her. When she opens her eyes again, they're wet with tears she refuses to let fall. I can't go back, she whispers. If I go back, he'll make sure I disappear, one way or another. Then you don't go back, I say. But if we stay, your brother will kill us all. Maybe, I say, or maybe we fight. Against my father's money and your brother's violence? Rose shakes her head. We can't win. We don't have to win, I tell her. We just have to survive long enough for the truth to come out. What truth? That your father is corrupt. That mine abandoned his own son. That Cyrus is a murderer for hire. All of it. The whole rotten structure they've built their lives on. Rose looks at me like she's trying to decide if I've lost my mind. And how exactly do we expose all that from the top of a mountain? I don't know yet, I admit. but we have 2 days to figure it out. That night, none of us sleep well. I lie in my loft listening to the sounds of the cabin. Isaiah tossing in his bed, unable to get comfortable. Rose pacing in her room, her footsteps soft but audible. Around midnight, I climb down from the loft. I find Rose sitting at the table, a candle burning in front of her. She's writing something in a small notebook. "Can't sleep?" I ask. She looks up. "No, I keep thinking about my father, about everything he's done." She gestures to the notebook. "I'm making a list. Every corrupt deal I know about, every bribe, every time he cut corners and people died. It's not much, but it's something." "Will anyone believe you?" "Probably not," she admits. "I'm just the daughter he threw away. But maybe if I can get the information to the right person, someone with authority, someone who can't be bought." "The federal marshal," I say. "Clayton. He's honest. It's rare, but he actually cares about the law." Rose nods slowly. "Could we get word to him before your brother comes back?" "Not unless one of us rides down to the settlement. And that would mean leaving the others unprotected." "What about the girl?" Rose asks. "Lily. Is she in danger?" "Yes," I say. "If Cyrus knows about her, he might use her as leverage. He might hurt her to hurt me." "Then we need to get to her first," Rose says. She closes her notebook with a snap. "We need to bring her here where we can protect her." "She's 14 years old," I say. "William's daughter. If she comes here, I'll have to tell her the truth, that I killed her father." "Would lying to her be better?" "No," I admit. "But I don't know if I can face her. I don't know if I can look into the eyes of a child and admit what I did." Rose reaches across the table and takes my hand. It's the first time we've touched intentionally. Her hand is rough with calluses, strong and warm. "Then we'll face it together," she says. "Whatever comes, we face it together." I look at this woman who arrived on my mountain less than 24 hours ago, this woman who was supposed to be a convenient arrangement, nothing more. And I realize something has shifted between us. We're not strangers anymore. We're allies, maybe more. Together, I agree. The next morning, I wake before dawn. There's something I need to do, something I've been avoiding for 8 years. I walk into the forest behind the cabin. Isaiah doesn't follow, though I know he's awake and watching from the window. He understands that some journeys are private. Half a mile into the trees, there's a small clearing. In the center is a pile of stones I arranged myself 3 years ago. There's no name carved on any rock, no dates. Nothing to indicate this is a grave, but I know what it is. When I came to this mountain, I brought William's tags with me, the metal identification discs they gave us in the Army. I buried them here and built this cairn over them. It's not really his grave. William's body is somewhere in a mass burial pit near Gettysburg, but it's the only memorial I could give him. I kneel in front of the stones. My knees sink into the pine needles and damp earth. I haven't been here in a year, haven't been able to face it. But now, with Lily coming, with the past closing in from all sides, I need to be here one more time. "William," I say out loud. His name sounds strange in the silence of the forest. "I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if there's anything after death or if you just stopped existing the moment I pulled that trigger. But I need to talk to you anyway." The trees don't answer. The wind doesn't whisper wisdom. There's nothing but my own voice and my own guilt. "Your daughter is alive," I continue. "Her name is Lily. She's 14 years old. She just lost her mother, and now she's looking for answers about you. She's going to come here, and I'm going to have to tell her what I did." A crow calls somewhere in the distance. The sound echoes through the trees. "I don't know how to do this, William. I don't know how to look at your child and explain that I'm the one who ended your life. Even if it was mercy, even if you begged me to do it. How does a girl that age understand something like that?" I close my eyes. I can see William's face so clearly, even after 20 years. The way he smiled, the way he believed so completely in the cause we were fighting for, the way he looked at me in that trench, blood soaking through his uniform, eyes begging me to end his suffering. "I did what you asked," I whisper. "But I never forgave myself for it. And I don't think I ever will." I stay there for a long time, kneeling in the dirt, talking to a dead man who can't answer. I tell him about Rose, about Isaiah, about the life I've built up here in isolation. I tell him about his brother Cyrus and the danger that's coming. When I finally stand up, my knees are stiff and my eyes are burning. But something feels lighter, not forgiven, never forgiven, but acknowledged, witnessed, real. I walk back to the cabin. Rose is outside with Isaiah, teaching him how to read from one of her books. They both look up as I approach. "Are you all right?" Rose asks. "No," I say, "but I will be." She nods like she understands. Then she shows me what they've been working on. It's a map, a rough sketch of the territory between my cabin and the settlement where Lily is waiting. "If we're going to get to her before your brother does," Rose says, "we need to move fast. Today, right now." I look at the map. Then I look at Isaiah. Then at Rose. "All right," I say. "Pack what you need. We leave in an hour." And that's how it begins, not with a grand plan or a moment of courage, just three people deciding that running away isn't an option anymore, that the past has to be faced, that the truth, no matter how ugly, is better than hiding. We don't know yet that this decision will lead to violence. We don't know about the siege that's coming, or the revelations that will shatter everything we think we know. All we know is that we can't stay still anymore. We have to move forward, together, into whatever darkness is waiting. We ride down the mountain in silence. Isaiah sits in front of me on my horse, his small body tense with alertness. Rose follows on the second horse, the one I usually use for hauling supplies. She's never ridden before coming here, but she learns fast. She grips the reins with determination, her back straight despite the unfamiliar motion. The path is treacherous. On our left, the mountain rises in sheer rock faces. On our right, the drop goes down hundreds of feet into a gorge filled with broken trees and jagged stones. One wrong step and the horse would tumble, taking its rider with it. But I've traveled this path 1,000 times. I know every switchback, every loose stone. We make good time. By noon we reach the settlement. Jackson Crossing looks even more miserable than usual. The main street is a river of mud from yesterday's rain. The few buildings lean against each other like drunks trying to stay upright. Smoke rises from the saloon chimney, carrying the smell of cheap whiskey and cheaper tobacco. I tie the horses outside the general store. "Stay close," I tell Isaiah and Rose. "Don't talk to anyone unless I'm with you." "Where is Lily staying?" Rose asks. According to her letter, she's at the boarding house. The one run by Mrs. Chang. The boarding house is at the far end of town, a 2-story wooden structure that looks slightly more solid than its neighbors. Mrs. Chang is a widow from San Francisco who came here 5 years ago for reasons she's never explained. She takes in travelers and asks no questions. It's the kind of place where people go when they're running from something. I knock on the door. Mrs. Chang opens it, her weathered face breaking into a rare smile when she sees me. "Mr. Carved, been almost 6 months since you came down from that mountain." She looks at Rose and Isaiah with open curiosity. "And you brought company. I need to see Lily Crestwood," I say. "She's staying here." Mrs. Chen's smile fades. "That poor child. Lost her mother just 2 months ago. She's been waiting for you. Said you were the only person who could help her." She leads us inside. The boarding house is dim and smells of boiled cabbage and old wood. We climb narrow stairs to the second floor. Mrs. Chang knocks on a door at the end of the hall. "Lily? You have visitors." The door opens slowly. A girl stands there, thin as a willow branch, with black hair that hangs lank around her face. She's wearing a dress that's too big for her, probably a charity donation. Her eyes are red-rimmed from crying, but when she sees me, something sparks in them. Hope, maybe, or desperation. "You're Mr. Carved?" Her voice is small, uncertain. "I am," I tell her. "You wrote to me about your father, about William." She nods. Then her eyes move to Rose and Isaiah. "Who are they?" "Rose Ashford, and this is Isaiah. They're with me. They're family." The word surprises me as soon as I say it. Family. I haven't used that word in 20 years. But looking at Rose and Isaiah, I realize it's true. Somewhere in the last few days, they've become the closest thing to family I have. Lily steps back to let us into her room. It's barely big enough for the narrow bed and single chair. A small bag sits in the corner, containing what I assume is everything she owns in the world. "Thank you for coming," Lily says. She sits on the bed, her hands folded in her lap like a child at church. "I didn't know if you would. The letter I sent, it was the only address I could find. Mother kept it hidden in her Bible." "Your mother?" I say carefully. "What was her name?" "Catherine. Catherine Mills, before she married. She met my father during the war. He was stationed near her family's farm for a few months in 1864. They fell in love. But then he was called back to his unit, and she never saw him again." Lily's voice trembles. She didn't know he died until years later. She tried to find out what happened, but the Army records just said killed in action at Gettysburg. She wanted me to know about him. She said he was a good man, a kind man. Each word is a knife in my chest. William was good and kind. That's exactly why he's dead. Rose moves to sit beside Lily on the bed. She takes the girl's hand gently. "Lily," she says, "there are things happening that you need to know about. Dangerous things. We need to take you somewhere safe." Lily looks confused. "Dangerous? What do you mean?" "There are men looking for Mr. Carved," Rose explains. "Bad men. They might try to use you to hurt him. We want to bring you to the mountain where you'll be protected." "But I just want to know about my father," Lily says. Her voice breaks. "That's all. Just to know who he was, how he died, if he was brave." The silence that follows is crushing. Isaiah looks at me with wide eyes. Rose's expression is gentle but firm. She's telling me without words that now is the time. Tell her the truth. I kneel down so I'm at eye level with Lily. The floorboards creak under my weight. "Your father was the bravest man I ever knew," I begin. My voice sounds rough, unused to speaking this many words at once. He believed in the cause we were fighting for with his whole heart. He sang in the mornings to wake everyone up. He always shared his rations, even when we were starving. He made everyone around him better just by being there. Lily's eyes fill with tears. "You loved him." "Like a brother," I say. "We fought together for 2 years. He saved my life 3 times that I can count. Maybe more that I don't remember." "How did he die?" This is the moment. The confession I've been running from for 20 years. I take a breath and speak the truth. We were at Gettysburg, 3rd day of battle. A shell hit near our trench. William was wounded badly. The damage was internal. I knew he wouldn't survive. I pause. Lily is watching me with those young, trusting eyes. Rose has moved closer, her hand on my shoulder, giving me strength. The Confederate soldiers were advancing, I continue. They were taking prisoners. William knew what they did to prisoners. He'd seen it. We all had. Tears are running down my face now. I don't try to stop them. He asked me to shoot him. He begged me not to let them take him alive. He didn't want to die slowly from his wounds. He didn't want to be tortured. So I did what he asked. I shot him. I killed your father because he asked me to save him from something worse. The room is absolutely silent. Isaiah has his hand over his mouth. Rose is crying quietly. Mrs. Chen, still standing in the doorway, has tears streaming down her wrinkled face. Lily stares at me. Her mouth opens but no sound comes out. Then she makes a noise, a small broken sob, and covers her face with her hands. I don't move. I kneel there and let her cry, let her process the terrible truth I've just given her. I deserve whatever hatred she throws at me. I deserve her rage and her grief. But when she finally lowers her hands, what I see in her eyes isn't hatred. It's something more complicated. Pain, yes. Confusion, definitely. But also something that looks like understanding. "You were his friend," she says in a whisper. "You loved him." "Yes," I say. "And he trusted you enough to ask you to do that." "Yes." She's quiet for a long moment. Then she asks, "Did he suffer?" "No," I tell her. "It was quick. One moment he was there, the next he was gone. I made sure of that." Lily nods slowly. She wipes her eyes with the back of her hand. "My mother always said he died a hero, that he gave his life for the cause." "He did," I say, "just not the way the Army records say." She looks at me with eyes older than her 14 years. "Do you wish you hadn't done it?" I think about this carefully. Every day, I tell her. But not because it was wrong, because it was necessary. And necessary things are often the hardest to carry. Lily stands up. She's so thin, so fragile-looking, but when she speaks, her voice is steady. "Thank you for telling me the truth," she says, "and thank you for being kind to him, for making his last moments easier." Then she does something I never expected. She steps forward and hugs me. This slip of a girl, this orphan who just learned I killed her father, wraps her arms around my neck and holds on tight. I freeze. I can't remember the last time someone hugged me. Rose and Isaiah are watching with tears in their eyes. Mrs. Chen has her hand over her heart. Slowly, carefully, I put my arms around Lily and hug her back. We're interrupted by a commotion from downstairs, shouting, the sound of boots on wooden floors. Mrs. Chen's expression changes instantly from tender to alert. "Stay here," she hisses. She moves to the door and peers out into the hallway. More shouting. A man's voice, loud and demanding. "Where is she? I know she's here." "That's Cyrus," I say. I stand up fast, putting myself between the door and the others. "How did he find us so quickly?" Rose moves to the window. There are men outside, 6 of them, armed. "We're trapped." Isaiah signs urgently. "Backstairs?" Mrs. Chen shakes her head. "They'll have those covered too. These men, they're professionals." Cyrus's voice echoes up the stairwell. "Elijah, I know you're up there. Come on down, little brother. Let's talk like civilized people." I look at Rose, at Isaiah, at Lily. 3 people depending on me to get them out of this. 3 lives in my hands. "The window," I say quietly. "Rose, can you climb?" She looks out at the narrow ledge that runs along the outside of the building. It's barely 6 inches wide. Below is a 20-foot drop into the mud. "If I have to," she says, "take Lily. Get to the livery stable. There's a back door. Take 2 horses and ride for the mountain. Don't stop, don't look back." "What about you and Isaiah?" Rose demands. "We'll hold them here, give you time to escape." "No," Rose says firmly. "We stay together. That was the deal. There's no time to argue. Heavy footsteps are coming up the stairs. Cyrus is bringing his men." I make a decision. "Mrs. Chen, is there anywhere in this building that's defensible? Somewhere with only one entrance?" "The root cellar," she says immediately. "Accessed through the kitchen. Stone walls, thick door. If you can get down there, they'd have to burn the whole building to get you out. Then that's where we go. We move fast. Mrs. Chen leads us down the back stairs into her kitchen. It's a narrow room with a cooking stove and a few shelves. In the corner is a trap door. She pulls it open to reveal a ladder descending into darkness. "Get in," she says. "All of you." "What about you?" Rose asks. "I'll tell them you went out the window. Buy you some time." Mrs. Chen's face is grim but determined. "I've been running from things my whole life. About time I stood up for something." We climb down into the cellar. It's cold and smells of earth and stored vegetables. The ceiling is low enough that I have to crouch. But Mrs. Chen was right about the walls. They're solid stone, built to last. Mrs. Chen looks down at us one last time. "There's food down there, water. You can hold out for days if you need to." "Thank you," I tell her. She smiles sadly. "Your father would be proud of you, Mr. Carved. You're a good man, even if you don't believe it." Then she closes the trap door. We hear her dragging something heavy over it, covering our escape. In the darkness of the cellar, we wait. Isaiah presses close to my side. Rose has her arm around Lily. We can hear boots tramping overhead. Cyrus's voice, muffled but angry. "Where are they?" "Gone," Mrs. Chen says. "Out the window. They headed toward the hills." "You're lying. Search if you want. They're not here." More footsteps. The sound of doors being kicked open, furniture overturned. "They're tearing the boarding house apart looking for us." Then silence, long minutes of nothing. Finally, Cyrus speaks again. "All right." They couldn't have gotten far. "Spread out. Check every building, every horse. They're still in town." The boots retreat. The house goes quiet. We wait another hour before we risk moving. When we finally push the trapdoor open, Mrs. Chen is sitting at her kitchen table with a cup of tea like nothing happened. "They're gone," she says, "for now. But they'll be watching the roads. We can't stay here, I say. We need to get back to the mountain. Mrs. Chen nods. There's an old mining trail half a mile north of town. Hasn't been used in years. It'll take you around the main road. Slower, but safer. She packs us food and water, gives us 2 blankets and a box of matches. When we try to thank her, she waves us off. Just keep those children safe, she says. And Mr. Carved? That brother of yours? He's got evil in him, real evil. Don't try to save him. Some people are beyond saving. We leave through the back door as twilight falls. The mining trail Mrs. Chen mentioned is overgrown and barely visible. But it's there. We follow it north into the wilderness, away from the roads and the men hunting us. It takes us all night to reach the mountain. By the time we see my cabin, the sun is rising and we're exhausted. Isaiah is asleep on the horse leaning against my chest. Lily is barely staying conscious, swaying in Rose's arms. We made it, Rose says. Her voice is hoarse from cold and fatigue. For now, I say. But Cyrus won't give up. He'll come for us. Then we'll be ready, Rose says. We put the horses in the small stable I built behind the cabin, feed them, water them. Then we all go inside. The cabin has never felt so small with 5 people in it, but it also has never felt so much like a home. Isaiah and Lily collapse into sleep immediately. Rose and I sit by the fire, too tired to move but too wired to rest. She's a brave girl, Rose says, looking toward the room where Lily is sleeping, to hear what you told her and not hate you. I don't know if she doesn't hate me, I say. Maybe she's just too tired to feel it yet. No, Rose says firmly. She understands. Children understand mercy better than adults. We're the ones who complicate things. I look at Rose in the firelight. Her face is smudged with dirt. Her hair has come loose from its pins. She looks exhausted and beautiful and fierce. Why are you helping me? I ask. You barely know me. You could have left at any point. Gone back to your father, made some kind of deal. Because going back means dying, Rose says simply. Maybe not right away, but slowly. My father would lock me away somewhere. A sanitarium, probably. Say I was mad. And maybe I would go mad eventually, locked in a room, knowing what he'd done, unable to tell anyone. She turns to face me fully. And because you're the first person who's ever looked at me and seen something other than a mistake. You're not a mistake, I say. Neither are you, she replies. You keep acting like what you did to William was murder. But it was love. Twisted, painful love. The kind that asks you to do the impossible. She reaches out and takes my hand. We sit there in the firelight, holding hands like children, like the last 2 people in the world. Tomorrow Cyrus will come, I say. He'll bring more men. He'll try to burn us out or starve us out. Then tomorrow we fight, Rose says. But tonight, just for a few hours, let's pretend we're safe. So we sit together in silence, watching the fire burn down to embers. And for those few hours, we are safe. We are whole. We are enough. Morning comes too soon. I wake to find Rose already up, standing at the window with a rifle in her hands. The rifle is mine, but she holds it like she knows what she's doing. See something? I ask, moving to join her. Not yet, she says, but they're coming. I can feel it. She's right. Around mid-morning, Isaiah spots them. He comes running from the edge of the property where he'd been checking the snares. Men, he signs frantically. Many men, coming up the trail. I grab my rifle and go outside. Rose follows with a shotgun. Lily stays inside with Isaiah, peering through the gaps in the shutters. From my vantage point, I can see them clearly. 8 riders moving single file up the narrow mountain path. Cyrus is in the lead, his red hair bright in the sunlight. Behind him are men who look like they've seen violence and enjoyed it, hired guns, professional killers. They stop 100 yards from the cabin just out of rifle range. Cyrus dismounts and walks forward alone. He stops 50 yards out and cups his hands around his mouth. Elijah, let's talk. Nothing to talk about, I shout back. This is my land. You're trespassing. Your land? Cyrus laughs. You're a squatter, little brother. You have no legal claim. And even if you did, Tobias Monroe has enough lawyers to tie you up in court for the rest of your life. Then let him try the courts. Tell him to stay away from here." "Can't do that," Cyrus says. He gestures at the men behind him. "These gentlemen have been paid to clear this land. One way or another, you're leaving." Rose steps forward so Cyrus can see her. "Tell my father I have his ledger," she shouts. "The one with all his illegal transactions, all the bribes, all the deaths he's responsible for. If anything happens to us, that ledger goes to the federal marshal." Cyrus is quiet for a moment. Then he laughs again, but this time it sounds forced. "Bluffing won't save you, Miss Monroe. Your father doesn't scare that easy." "It's not a bluff," Rose says. She holds up a small leather-bound book. "I stole it before I left St. Louis. Every dirty deal he ever made is written in here, including the ones that got people killed." I glance at Rose in surprise. She never mentioned having this ledger. She catches my eye and gives a tiny nod. "It's real." Cyrus's expression darkens. He turns and walks back to his men. They huddle together, discussing something we can't hear. "What's in that book?" I ask Rose quietly. "Everything," she says. "Factory accidents he could have prevented. Bribes to government officials. Threats against competitors. If a prosecutor saw this, my father would hang. Then why didn't you use it before? Why let him send you away?" "Because I was afraid," Rose admits. "I was a coward, but I'm not afraid anymore." The huddle breaks up. Cyrus walks forward again. "Here's the deal," he shouts. "You give us the book and the girl. We let you and the boy live. You can stay on your mountain. We'll route the railroad around you." "No deal," Rose shouts back. "You should reconsider," Cyrus says. His hand moves to his gun belt. "Because if you don't give us what we want peacefully, we'll take it by force." "Try it," I say. I raise my rifle. "First man who crosses that line gets a bullet." Cyrus smiles. He was hoping I'd say that. He turns and signals to his men. "Burn them out." The men dismount and scatter. Some head for the tree line to get angles on the cabin. 2 of them start gathering deadwood. They're going to set fire to the surrounding forest, drive us out with smoke. "Get inside," I tell Rose. "We need to fortify." We rush back into the cabin. I bar the door and start closing the wooden shutters over the windows. They're not bulletproof, but they'll stop some of the shots. Isaiah helps me, moving fast despite his fear. Lily huddles in the corner, her eyes wide. Rose sets the ledger on the table and picks up the shotgun again. "How long can we hold them?" "Depends on how patient they are," I say. "We have food for a week, water for 3 days if we're careful, ammunition for maybe 200 shots. After that, we're down to knives." "They won't wait a week," Rose says. "They'll try to end this quickly." She's right. Within minutes, the shooting starts. Bullets slam into the cabin walls, punching through the wood shutters. One comes through a gap and embeds itself in the far wall. We all drop to the floor. "Stay low," I order. "Don't raise your head unless you have a target." I crawl to the window and peer through a crack in the shutter. I can see one of Cyrus's men crouched behind a tree. He's reloading his rifle. I take aim and fire. The shot goes wide, but it's close enough to make him duck. The siege has begun. For the next hour, it's chaos. Bullets pound the cabin from multiple directions. We fire back when we can, but mostly we're just trying to survive. Isaiah loads rifles for me while I shoot. Rose covers the back window. Lily stays curled up under the table, her hands over her ears. Then the smoke starts. They have set fire to the underbrush on the western side of the cabin. The wind is blowing toward us. Within minutes, thick smoke begins seeping through the walls. "We can't stay here," Rose coughs. "We'll suffocate." "The root cellar," I say. "There's a small crawl space under the cabin. We can shelter there until the fire passes." We're about to move when we hear a new sound. Hoofbeats, many of them, coming fast up the trail. I risk looking through the front shutter. What I see makes no sense. It's Marshal Clayton, riding hard with 6 deputies behind him. They're all armed, all wearing badges. They come up the trail like an avalanche, guns drawn. "Federal marshals," Clayton's voice booms across the clearing. "Drop your weapons." Cyrus's men hesitate. Some of them start to lower their guns. Others look to Cyrus for orders. Cyrus pulls his pistol and fires at the marshals. It's a stupid move, desperate. His shot goes wild, but it's enough to start a firefight. The marshals return fire. 2 of Cyrus's men go down immediately. The others scatter, trying to find cover. But they're caught in the open, and the marshals have the high ground. It's over in minutes. When the smoke clears, 4 of Cyrus's men are dead. 3 more are wounded and surrendering. Only Cyrus is still standing, his back against a tree, his gun pointed at Marshal Clayton. "It's over, Vane," Clayton says calmly. "Drop the weapon." "You don't understand," Cyrus says. His voice is desperate now, not mocking. "This land is worth millions. The railroad, it's the future." "I don't care about the railroad," Clayton says. "I care about the law. And you just broke about a dozen federal statutes." "My brother," Cyrus says, pointing at the cabin. "He's a murderer. He killed William Crestwood. There's probably still a warrant for him." "The warrant was dropped," a new voice says. A man steps out from behind the marshals. He's old, maybe 60, with a weathered face and kind eyes. He's wearing a Union Army veteran's pin on his coat. "Who are you?" Cyrus demands. "Samuel Brooks," the man says. "I served with Elijah Carved and William Crestwood. I was there at Gettysburg." My heart stops. Samuel Brooks. I remember him. He was in our unit, but I thought he died in the war. Samuel walks toward the cabin. I come out slowly, the rifle lowered. "Carved," Samuel says, nodding at me. "Been a long time." "I thought you were dead," I managed to say. "Almost was," Samuel says. "Took a bullet to the lung. Spent 2 years in a hospital. By the time I recovered, the war was over and everyone had scattered." He turns to address Marshal Clayton and everyone else who can hear. "I need to tell you something about what happened at Gettysburg, about William Crestwood's death." The clearing goes silent. "Elijah Carved didn't murder William," Samuel says. "William was mortally wounded. I saw it happen. The shell hit and tore him open. There was no saving him. The Confederate soldiers were advancing. We all knew what they did to prisoners." Samuel's voice is steady, clear. "William Crestwood asked Elijah to shoot him, begged him, to save him from hours of agony and torture. Elijah didn't want to. I saw him crying, saw him refuse. But William kept begging. So Elijah did what any true friend would do. He granted mercy." There's a long silence. "That's not murder," Samuel says. "That's compassion. That's love. And I'll testify to it in any court in this country. I can't speak, can't breathe. For 20 years I've carried this guilt. And now this man, this ghost from my past, is absolving me in front of everyone." Rose appears beside me. She takes my hand and squeezes it tight. Marshal Clayton holsters his gun. "Based on this testimony," he says, "I see no grounds for any charges against Elijah Carved. His actions were undertaken during wartime under extreme circumstances." He turns to Cyrus. "But you, Mr. Vane, are under arrest for attempted murder, arson, and assault. You'll be transported to Cheyenne to stand trial." 2 deputies move forward and clamp irons on Cyrus's wrists. He doesn't resist. He just looks at me with pure hatred. "This isn't over," he says. "The railroad is still coming. Monroe will find another way." "Maybe," I say, "but it won't be through me." As the deputies lead Cyrus away, Clayton approaches the cabin. I step out to meet him. "You want to tell me what this is really about?" he asks. Rose steps forward. She's still holding the ledger. "It's about this, Marshal. Evidence of corruption, bribery, and negligent homicide committed by Tobias Monroe. Enough to put him away for life." Clayton takes the ledger and flips through it. His eyebrows rise higher with each page. "Where did you get this?" "I stole it from my father," Rose says, "before he sent me here to die. Your father being Tobias Monroe." "Yes." Clayton closes the ledger carefully. "This needs to go to a federal prosecutor. Are you willing to testify?" Rose looks at me. I nod. Whatever she decides, I'll support her. "Yes," Rose says. "I'll testify to everything." Clayton nods. "Then we'll need to get you somewhere safe until the trial. Monroe has long reach." "She'll stay here," I say. "On the mountain, with me." Clayton looks between us, understanding dawning in his eyes. "All right. I'll post a deputy at the base of the trail. Anyone wants to come up here, they'll have to go through federal law." That night, after the marshals have left, after we've tended to the bullet holes in the cabin walls, after Isaiah and Lily have finally fallen asleep, Rose and I sit on the porch. The stars are out. Millions of them scattered across the black sky like thrown diamonds. You can't see stars like this in the city. Too much light, too much smoke. But up here, the darkness is so complete that the stars seem close enough to touch. I can't believe Samuel Brooks appeared, I say. After all these years, like a ghost. Maybe he was, Rose says. Maybe William sent him, to finally free you from the guilt. I don't believe in ghosts, don't you? Rose leans against me, her head on my shoulder. You've been haunted for 20 years. By William. By your father. By all the things you think you should have done differently. Maybe, I admit. Well, now the ghosts are gone, Rose says. Samuel gave you absolution. The law cleared your name. You're free, Elijah. For the first time in 2 decades, you're free. I think about this. She's right. The weight I've been carrying, the crushing guilt, it feels lighter now. Not gone. It will never be completely gone, but manageable, bearable. What about you? I ask. Your father is still out there. He'll fight this. Let him fight, Rose says. I have the truth, and I have you. That's enough. She turns to look at me. In the starlight, her face is beautiful. Not despite the sharp angles and severe features, but because of them. Because every line tells a story of survival, of refusing to break. I love you, I say. The words come out before I can stop them. Rose smiles. I know, she says. I've known since the first night. When you told me I wasn't ugly, I love you too, she adds, in case that wasn't obvious. We sit there in the darkness, holding each other, while the mountain stands guard around us. Inside the cabin, Isaiah and Lily sleep peacefully. Tomorrow we'll start rebuilding what the siege damaged. Tomorrow we'll plan for Rose's testimony. Tomorrow we'll figure out what comes next. But tonight, we're just 2 people who found each other in the wilderness. 2 people who were thrown away by their families and told they were worthless. 2 people who proved everyone wrong simply by surviving. The wind rises, carrying the scent of pine and snow. Winter is coming. It will be harsh and long and unforgiving. But we'll face it together, and that makes all the difference. 3 weeks pass before the summons arrives. Marshal Clayton rides up the mountain himself, bringing news that changes everything. Tobias Monroe is coming to Wyoming territory, he says, standing in my cabin with his hat in his hands. He's demanded a meeting with his daughter before the trial, says he has information that might change her testimony. Rose, who's been teaching Lily to read at the table, goes very still. My father never travels, she says quietly. He sends people to do his business. If he's coming here himself, something is wrong. The trial is set for 2 weeks from now in Cheyenne, Clayton continues. Monroe's lawyers have been filing motions, trying to get the charges dismissed. So far, the judge has denied them, but Monroe has powerful friends. The prosecutor wants to make sure your testimony is solid. It's solid, Rose says. Everything in that ledger is true. I witnessed most of it myself, Clayton nods. But Monroe is claiming you stole the ledger illegally, that it's inadmissible as evidence. He's also saying you're mentally unstable, that you have a history of hysteria and delusions. That's a lie, I say, anger rising in my chest. I know it is, Clayton says. But he's got doctors willing to testify, doctors he's paid. The prosecutor needs you to be strong when you take the stand. If you break down, if you show any weakness, Monroe's lawyers will tear you apart. Rose stands up. Her hands are trembling slightly, but her voice is steady. Tell the prosecutor I'll be ready, and tell my father I'll meet with him, but only if Elijah is present. I won't face him alone. Clayton looks at me. You willing to do that? I'll be there, I say. The meeting is arranged for 3 days later at the settlement. Neutral ground. Clayton promises to have deputies present to prevent any violence. Tobias Monroe is staying at the only hotel in Jackson Crossing, a shabby building that probably offends his refined sensibilities. The night before the meeting, none of us sleep well. Isaiah keeps watch by the window, though there's no real threat anymore. Cyrus is in jail awaiting his own trial, the hired guns scattered after the siege, but old habits die hard, and Isaiah feels safer when he's watching. Lily sits with Rose, holding her hand. You don't have to do this, Lily says. We could just leave. Go somewhere he can't find us. He'll always find us, Rose says. Men like my father don't let go. The only way to be free of him is to face him. What if he hurts you? Lily asks. He already has, Rose says, for 24 years. One more conversation can't hurt worse than a lifetime of being told I'm worthless. I'm sitting by the fireplace, cleaning my rifle even though it doesn't need cleaning. It's just something to do with my hands. Rose catches my eye. You don't have to come, she says. This is my fight. No, I tell her. We're in this together. That's what you said. Remember? She smiles, but it doesn't reach her eyes. I remember. The next morning, we ride down to the settlement. Clayton meets us at the edge of town with 4 deputies. The hotel is at the center of the main street, a 2-story structure with peeling paint and crooked shutters. A fancy carriage sits outside, looking absurdly out of place in this rough frontier town. He's upstairs, Clayton says. Room at the end of the hall. I'll be right outside the door. If anything goes wrong, you shout. Rose nods. She dismounts and stands for a moment, gathering herself. Then she squares her shoulders and walks into the hotel. I follow close behind. The stairs creak under our weight. The hallway smells of old tobacco and mildew. At the end, a door stands slightly ajar. Rose pushes it open. Tobias Monroe sits in a chair by the window, looking out at the muddy street below. He's older than I expected, maybe 55, with gray hair and a lined face. He's wearing an expensive suit that probably cost more than most people in this town earn in a year. But despite the fine clothes, he looks tired, worn down. Rose, he says without turning around, thank you for coming. Father, Rose says. Her voice is cold, formal. Tobias finally turns to look at us. His eyes move from Rose to me. And this must be the mountain man, Elijah carved. I don't respond. I just stand next to Rose, making it clear I'm not leaving. Tobias gestures to 2 chairs. Please, sit. This won't take long. We remain standing. Tobias sighs. He reaches into his jacket pocket and pulls out an envelope. I came to give you this, he says, holding it out to Rose. It's a letter from your mother. She wrote it before she died. Rose doesn't take it. Mother died 10 years ago. Yes, Tobias says. And she left this letter with our family lawyer, with instructions that it be given to you on your 25th birthday. But given the circumstances, I thought you should have it now. Why, Rose asks. What's in it? The truth, Tobias says. About her death, about me, about everything. Rose slowly takes the envelope. Her hands shake as she opens it. Inside is several pages of paper, covered in elegant handwriting. She reads silently while Tobias and I wait. I watch her face change as she reads. Shock. Horror. Then something like understanding. When she finishes, she looks up at her father with tears streaming down her face. She knew, Rose whispers. She knew what you were doing, the bribes, the corner cutting, everything. Yes, Tobias says. He looks away, unable to meet her eyes. Your mother confronted me about it. She said if I didn't stop, she would go to the authorities. We argued. It was the worst fight we ever had. He pauses, his voice breaking. She was standing at the top of the stairs. I was angry. I grabbed her arm. I didn't mean to push her. I swear I didn't mean to, but she lost her balance and fell. Silence fills the room. Outside, we can hear the sounds of the settlement. Horses, voices. Life continuing while our world crumbles. So it was an accident, Rose says, flatly. An accident I caused, Tobias says. I killed her as surely as if I'd thrown her down those stairs intentionally. And I've lived with that guilt every day for 10 years. He looks at Rose now, really looks at her. And every time I looked at you, I saw her. The same eyes, the same stubborn determination, the same moral certainty. You were a mirror showing me my own crimes. So you sent me away, Rose says, to make the mirror disappear. I sent you away because I'm a coward, Tobias says, because I couldn't face what I'd done, because seeing you every day was a torture I couldn't endure. He stands up slowly, like an old man, though he's not that old. I'm dying, Rose. The doctors say I have maybe 6 months. Heart disease, probably brought on by stress and guilt. Rose's face shows no emotion. Good. Tobias flinches like she slapped him. I deserve that, he says. I deserve your hatred. But before I die, I wanted you to know the truth. I wanted you to understand that I didn't send you here to hurt you. I sent you here because I thought maybe, away from me, you could have a life, a real life. By sending me to marry a stranger? Rose's voice rises. By telling everyone I was defective? Unsuitable? I told them you were strong, Tobias says, that you needed someone who could match you. I researched Elijah Carved before I contacted the marriage broker. I knew he was a good man. I knew he would protect you. This is too much. I stepped forward. You knew about me? How? I have resources, Tobias says. I found out about your service record, about William Crestwood, about what really happened at Gettysburg. I read Samuel Brooks's testimony. He gave a deposition years ago trying to clear your name, but the paperwork got lost in the Army bureaucracy. Tobias looks at me with something like respect. You're a man of honor who did a terrible thing for the right reasons. I thought you would understand Rose, that you wouldn't judge her for her father's sins. I don't know what to say. This man, this corrupt railroad baron, orchestrated everything. Sent his daughter to me specifically because he thought I would keep her safe. Rose is crying now, full sobs that shake her whole body. I put my arm around her and she leans into me. I don't forgive you, she says to her father. I can't. You killed Mother. You ruined lives to build your empire. You deserve everything that's coming to you. I know, Tobias says, and I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just asking you to understand. I understand that you're a monster, Rose says, but at least you're honest about it now. Tobias nods. He reaches into his jacket again and pulls out a folded document. This is the deed to the land Carved is living on. I'm transferring ownership to you, legal and clear. No one can take it from you. Why? Rose asks. Because it's the only thing I have left to give you, Tobias says. I'm withdrawing all involvement in the railroad project in this territory. I'm settling the lawsuits from the families of the workers who died. I'm trying, in what little time I have left, to make amends. You can't make amends for what you've done, Rose says. I know, Tobias says, but I can try. He walks toward the door, then pauses. For what it's worth, he says without turning around, I loved your mother, and I love you. I always have. I was just too broken to show it properly. Then he's gone, his footsteps echoing down the hallway. Rose collapses into the chair, still crying. I kneel beside her, holding her while she grieves. Not for her father, but for everything she lost. The mother who died, the childhood that was stolen, the years of thinking she was worthless. Marshal Clayton appears in the doorway. Everything all right? We're fine, I tell him. Just give us a minute. He nods and retreats. Rose eventually gets control of herself. She wipes her eyes and looks at me. Did you know about him researching you? No, I say. I thought it was random, a coincidence. Nothing is random with my father, Rose says. She laughs bitterly. Even his kindness is calculated. Does it change anything? I ask. She thinks about this. No, she says finally, because regardless of why I came here, what we've built is real. You didn't save me because someone paid you to. You saved me because you're a good man. I'm not sure I'm good, I say. You are, Rose insists. You just don't believe it yet. We ride back to the mountain in silence. Isaiah and Lily are waiting for us, anxious to hear what happened. Rose tells them everything while I make coffee. So he's dying, Isaiah signs when she finishes. Does that make you sad? I don't know what I feel, Rose admits. Relief, maybe. Anger that he waited until now to be honest. Grief for what could have been if he'd been different. Will you go to his funeral? Lily asks. No, Rose says. My father died a long time ago. The man I met today is just a ghost waiting to disappear. That night, Rose and I sit on the porch again. It's become our ritual, these quiet moments under the stars. Tonight the moon is full, painting the mountains in silver light. What will you do? I ask. About the trial? I'll testify, Rose says. The evidence is still valid, regardless of his confession to me. Those workers still died. Those bribes still happened. Justice needs to be served. Even though he's dying? Especially because he's dying, Rose says. He doesn't get to escape consequences just because his heart is failing. The families of the people he hurt deserve to see him held accountable. I take her hand. "You're stronger than anyone I've ever met. I learn from the best," she says, squeezing my fingers. We sit in comfortable silence for a while. Then Rose speaks again, her voice tentative. "Elijah, when this is all over, when the trial is done and my father is gone, what happens to us?" "What do you want to happen?" I ask. "I want to stay here," Rose says. "On this mountain, with you and Isaiah and Lily. I want to build a real home, a real family. The kind neither of us ever had." My throat tightens. "I want that too." "Then ask me," Rose says. "Ask me properly." I stand up and pull her to her feet. "Rose Ashford," I say, "will you marry me? Not because some broker arranged it, not because your father orchestrated it, but because I love you, and I can't imagine my life without you." "Yes," Rose says, laughing and crying at the same time. "Yes, I'll marry you." We kiss under the full moon while the mountain watches over us. Inside the cabin, Isaiah and Lily are probably spying through the window. Let them. Let the whole world see. Two broken people found each other in the wilderness and made something whole. The trial happens 2 weeks later in Cheyenne. Rose testifies for 6 hours, detailing every corrupt transaction in the ledger. The prosecutor is thorough, walking her through each bribe, each safety violation, each death that resulted from Tobias Monroe's greed. Monroe's lawyers try to discredit her, calling her hysterical and vengeful. But Rose remains calm, answering every question with facts and dates and documentation. When they produce their paid doctors claiming she's mentally unstable, the prosecutor produces 3 independent physicians who examined Rose and found her completely sound. The jury deliberates for less than 2 hours. Guilty on 23 counts of fraud, bribery, and criminally negligent homicide. Tobias Monroe is sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. Given his health, it's essentially a death sentence. He'll die in a cell, alone, stripped of his power and wealth. Rose shows no emotion when the verdict is read. She simply stands, nods to the prosecutor, and walks out of the courtroom. I'm waiting for her outside with Isaiah and Lily. "It's over," she says. "Yes," I tell her. "It's over." We don't stay for the sentencing. We ride back to Wyoming Territory, back to the mountain, back to home. 6 months pass. Winter comes and goes. The cabin is warm and full of life. Isaiah is growing taller, nearly as tall as me now. Lily has started smiling again, the haunted look fading from her eyes. Rose and I were married by Reverend Aldrich in a simple ceremony with only our small family present. In March, a letter arrives from Cheyenne. "Tobias Monroe died in prison," the letter says. "Heart failure." He lasted 3 months after sentencing. He left no final words, no dramatic deathbed confession. He simply went to sleep one night and didn't wake up. Rose reads the letter once, then burns it in the fireplace. "How do you feel?" I ask her. "Free," she says. Finally, completely free. That spring, another visitor arrives. Samuel Brooks rides up the mountain with his wife and 2 grown sons. He's come to pay his respects, he says, to finally properly honor William Crestwood's memory. We walk together to the cairn in the forest, all of us. Samuel, his family, Rose, Isaiah, Lily, and me. Samuel brings a proper marker, a carved wooden cross with William's name and dates. William Crestwood, it reads, 1842 to 1865, beloved friend and father. He died with honor. We plant the cross at the head of the cairn. Lily places wildflowers around it. She's crying, but they're good tears. Healing tears. "Thank you," she says to me, "for taking care of him, for making sure he didn't suffer." "I loved him," I tell her, "like a brother." "I know," Lily says, "and he would have loved you for what you did. I'm sure of it." Samuel and his family stay for dinner. We crowd around the table, all 9 of us sharing food and stories. Samuel tells tales about William we'd forgotten, the time he convinced the entire company to sing opera during a forced march, the way he could make coffee from almost anything, his terrible jokes that somehow always made people laugh. Lily soaks up every word, hungry for details about the father she never knew. And I realize something important. William isn't a ghost anymore. He's a memory, a good memory. The guilt is still there, it will always be there, but it's no longer crushing. It's just a part of me, like a scar that's healed. That night, after everyone has gone to bed, Rose tells me she's pregnant. "Are you happy?" she asks, watching my face carefully. I'm terrified, I admit. What if I'm a terrible father? What if I can't protect them? "You'll be wonderful," Rose says. "You've already proven that with Isaiah and Lily. You know how to love. That's all children really need." I put my hand on her belly, still flat, but holding new life. Our child. The future we're building together. "Boy or girl?" I ask. "Does it matter?" "No," I say. "As long as they're healthy and loved." They will be, Rose promises. So loved. The baby comes in November, a girl with dark hair and Rose's fierce eyes. We name her Catherine, after Rose's mother. Reverend Aldrich baptizes her in the stream behind the cabin, while Isaiah and Lily act as godparents. Catherine grows strong and healthy. By the time she's a year old, she's already trying to walk, pulling herself up on furniture with grim determination. She's going to be stubborn like her mother, I tell Rose. The years unfold gently after that. When Catherine is 3, we expand the cabin, adding 2 more rooms. Isaiah helps with the construction, his hands as skilled with hammer and saw as they are with bow and knife. Lily teaches Catherine her letters, using the same books Rose once used to teach her. We're not isolated anymore. Word has spread about the family on the mountain who survived a siege and brought down a corrupt railroad baron. People come sometimes seeking advice or help. Rose becomes known as the woman who understands engineering and medicine. I become the man who can track anything through any weather. We don't seek attention, but we don't hide either. The ghosts are gone. We're just people now, living our lives. Roy Tiptukvoy, more time passes, years blur together. Good, Rose says. Stubborn girls survive. More time passes, years blur together in the best possible way. Isaiah becomes a skilled hunter and tracker, better than I ever was. At 16, he decides he wants to find his birth family, the Shoshone people who either lost him or left him. We help him search, and eventually he finds them. They welcome him back with tears and celebration. He spends summers with them, learning the old ways, but he always comes back to the mountain. This is home, he tells us, your family. Lily grows into a beautiful young woman, smart and kind like her father. She becomes a teacher, riding down to the settlement 3 times a week to teach the children there. She never marries, saying she's married to her work. But she's happy, truly happy. Catherine grows up wild and free, climbing trees and tracking animals with Isaiah. She learns to read from Lily and engineering from Rose. She's everything we could have hoped for. I'm 48 years old now. My hair is going gray and my knees ache in the cold, but I've never been happier. One evening in late summer, Rose and I sit on our porch watching the sunset. Catherine is playing in the yard with a wooden horse Isaiah carved for her. Lily is reading under a tree. Isaiah is splitting wood, getting ready for winter. "Do you ever regret it?" Rose asks. "Leaving civilization behind. Living up here away from everything. Never," I tell her. "This is where I belong." "With you. With them." Rose leans her head on my shoulder. We've both gotten older. Her hair has streaks of white now. The lines on her face have deepened. But to me, she's more beautiful than ever. "I used to think I was hiding up here," I say. "Running from my past, from William, from who I was." "And now?" Rose asks. "Now I know I wasn't running," I tell her. "I was waiting. For you. For this family. For a future I didn't know I could have." We sit in silence as the sun sinks behind the mountains. The sky turns orange, then pink, then deep purple. Stars begin to appear one by one, like lanterns being lit. "Tell me again," Rose says. "About the first time you saw me?" I smile. This is a story I've told many times, but she never tires of hearing it. "I saw a woman standing in the snow," I say, "tall and strong and unafraid. I saw someone the world called ugly because the world is stupid and blind. I saw the future. I just didn't know it yet." "And when did you know?" Rose asks. "That first night," I admit, "when you climbed up to my loft and told me I wasn't a monster. That's when I knew you were going to change everything." "Good," Rose says. "Because you changed everything for me, too." Catherine runs up to the porch, breathless and excited. "Papa, look!" She holds out her hand. She's caught a firefly, its light pulsing between her cupped palms. "Make a wish," I tell her. "Then let it go." She closes her eyes, concentrating hard. Then she opens her hands and the firefly drifts up into the gathering darkness, its light joining the stars. "What did you wish for?" Rose asks. Catherine grins. "I can't tell you or it won't come true." She runs off to chase more fireflies. Rose and I watch her go. "We did good," Rose says quietly. "Yes, I agree. We did." That night, long after everyone else is asleep, I climb down from the loft where Rose and I now sleep together. I walk outside and look up at the mountains. The Teton Peaks stand black against the star-filled sky, eternal and unchanging. They've watched me come here broken and guilty. They've watched me build a life. They've watched me become someone I never thought I could be, a husband, a father, a man at peace. I think about William. I think about that moment in the trench, the hardest decision I ever made. For years I believed it defined me, marked me as a killer, a monster. But now I understand. That moment doesn't define me. What defines me is everything that came after. The choice to keep living, the choice to love, the choice to build something good from the ruins of the past. "William," I say quietly to the stars, to the mountain, to whatever might be listening, "I hope you know I kept my promise. I lived for both of us. I loved for both of us. And I made sure Lily knew you were a hero." The wind rises, carrying the scent of pine and snow. It sounds almost like a voice, almost like forgiveness. I go back inside. Rose is awake, waiting for me. "You okay?" she asks. "Better than okay," I tell her. "I'm home." We lie together in the darkness, listening to the sounds of our family sleeping around us. Isaiah's soft snores, Lily's quiet breathing, Catherine mumbling in her dreams. This is what happiness sounds like, not dramatic or loud, just peaceful, just real. I close my eyes and for the first time in 25 years, I sleep without nightmares. The ghosts are finally at rest. William has forgiven me. I've forgiven myself, and in the morning, when the sun rises over the Teton Mountains, I'll wake up next to the woman I love in a house full of family, on land that belongs to us. I was Elijah Carved, the man they called the Mountain Ghost, the man who lived with death and guilt. But now I'm just Elijah, husband, father, friend, and that's enough, more than enough. It's everything. The end.